Hi, my name is Jesse Hansen, and this presentation is on blockchain and its application in security. A blockchain is a list of records that grows and is grouped into blocks. They are linked to each other using cryptography. There's a cryptographic hash of the previous block timestamp with transaction data. A natural design element of blockchain technology is that it is resistant to modification. Another interesting element is that it is able to be monitored through a ledger, and a public ledger is usually what is used in most cases. So transactions can be recorded and verified in a permanent way that is generally not susceptible to attacks or hacking. So one great thing about blockchain technology is that it is highly secure. An example that most people are familiar with is Bitcoin. It's very popular, but it's certainly not the only example of cryptography or a cryptocurrency, and it's certainly not the only example of blockchain technology. Through this whole experience, we learned a lot about blockchain technology that we didn't already know. It was a great experience, and we gained a lot of knowledge. So we're going to talk a little bit about blockchain security and some of the different areas in which blockchain technology is being applied. So although blockchain technology is very powerful and amazing, it does face some problems. A few of those problems are outside of our control, such as people being wary of the technology, people being afraid to adopt it. You also have governments that are hostile towards the technology because of the use of cryptocurrency, and they do not want people to be using any outside currency. And even our own government has some reservations about the use of cryptocurrency. And of course, then there's entities that try and disrupt the technology through nefarious means. So those factors aren't really within our control, but there are a few factors that are within our control. One of those factors would be scalability, and the program we wrote can be adjusted so that it is very scalable. And we were able to create that program in Java, and we utilized the existing SHA-256 hash. So some of the areas in which blockchain technology is being applied would be, firstly, cloud computing. Cloud computing is also a new and budding technology. It has a lot of potential, and we're seeing it is taking over a lot of markets, and a lot of things are changing as far as the way that we store and access information because of the cloud. And it's only natural that some of those security features that come about because of these different blockchain technologies would be implemented into the cloud computing model and would kind of go hand in hand. So there is a lot of advantages to having those security features that are found within blockchain technology also implemented into cloud computing. Obviously, you want to have a secure connection, and you want your things that are stored there to be appropriately safe from any kind of outside eyes that you don't necessarily want viewing any of that information. And of course, that would apply very much to cloud computing because all of those resources, in theory, are accessible through the cloud. So if someone gains access, you don't want that to happen. Another area of interest is the Internet of Things. There are a lot of benefits to having a secure, simple technology that can be implemented on everyday devices that we use. And as more and more of our devices become connected to the internet, it's going to be more and more necessary for there to be advanced security features that can't easily be overcome. and blockchain technology does fulfill that need. So it is predictable that it will probably begin to be implemented into the Internet of Things as well. So those are some of their uses. Another use that's an interesting idea, it has not been implemented, but it has been thrown around as a good idea, would be the use of blockchain technology to monitor food and how it's processed, and you can start from the beginning phase of when it is grown on the farm to where it's shipped to, how it travels across the world or the country that it's being sold in. And you can do a lot of things with that. You could track stuff like foodborne illnesses. You could track maybe different plant diseases that are localized to a region and maybe see how they've spread. So there's a lot of things that can be monitored through blockchain technology that would benefit something like the food industry. And of course, there's also some risks. One example of that would be the 51% attack, and that vulnerability comes about because the attacker gains at least 51% of the calculating capacity of a network. And they do that through various means. You could theoretically do it by simply having enough computing power. We know that some countries like China are adding lots and lots of computing power to their mining networks. But it would be considered very difficult to gain 51% for one single entity to gain 51%. So usually the way they gain that is through other nefarious means of spamming different users and gaining access to their systems until they gain enough of those systems to compromise the overall system. And what the 51% attack does is it creates a fork and edits the hash, which in theory should invalidate it. But because they own 51% of the network, so to speak, they can tell the system to make that the valid hash, their one that they've edited, and it makes them the majority, and therefore it chooses their fork as the correct one, which of course it should not. And not all blockchains are susceptible to this attack. Bitcoin is somewhat susceptible to it, so we know that there are some shortcomings, but they do have other ways of verification to make sure that those kind of things don't happen. Another technology would be quantum computing. Now, currently, quantum computers are not powerful enough to pose a significant risk, but we do know that they are very rapidly coming up to a point where they will be capable of breaking these cryptographic algorithms that are created by blockchain technology. Probably the biggest risk there would be someone being able to get a hold of someone's key that they have, and then they could basically become that person and have access to their cryptocurrency or whatever secure files that they have because they were able to easily crack the key using a quantum computer. And as expected, we were able to create a working blockchain that is safe, secure, and does allow for future scaling. This is our output here. You can see it through the console. You can see the various hashes. We have the version, the timestamp, and you can see the previous hash, and you can see how it all plays into each other, and how it does get the previous from the one before. So as you can see, we now have a much better understanding of what goes into blockchain technology and what's actually behind the term blockchain, cryptocurrency, or even Bitcoin. We've discussed the various topics about blockchain security and privacy. We've discussed cloud computing, the Internet of Things, various uses for blockchain technology, and also some of the security risks. We now have a strong foundation to build on, and we can see that blockchain technology is a booming technology. So we recommend that anyone who is interested in blockchain technology, the applications, the security side, or just investigating it and trying it out, that they would build their own. So do to learn. So we would like you to build your own blockchain technology or blockchain program so that you can learn how to do it, how it works, a little bit more about why it works the way that it does. And we also encourage you to be mindful of the future, because there's lots of great things to come with blockchain technology, and there's going to be a lot of different ways, even unforeseen ways that we just don't know about yet, and into where blockchain technology is going and how it can be implemented.